We all know that no deep mountain means no infestations in RimWorld. But did you know that in order to have an infestation spawn around a tile, it also has to be above negative 17 degrees Celsius and meet 5 other factors? Years ago, I used to get wrecked by infestations because frequently your warm mountain base is the most likely place for the infestation to spawn. That is, unless you know how to manage them. Today, I'm here to teach you how to control infestations and how to fight them. Big thanks to my friend and awesome RimWorlder, Mortal Smurf, who helped aggregate the information in this video and answered my questions. His links are in the description. Make sure to follow and subscribe to both of his channels, Twitch and YouTube. Infestations occur in RimWorld when the 6 following checks are met. Warmer than 17 degrees Celsius, deep mountain tile, it has to be walkable and not fog of war. This means that if you block a tile with barricades, that would work. It needs to be next to an unblocked tile, as in the tile itself has to have a tile next to it for the bugs. There has to be an area of at least 2 spaces. And number 5 is a mountainous score. How mountainy the area is. We're taking this to mean how much rough stone, how much natural stone is in it. The requirement is more than 17% mountain in a 15 tile radius about it. So if you remove all the natural stone in an area, you would not be able to have an infestation spawn there. And it has to be less than 30 tiles to a colony building. On your map, there might be numerous locations that meet all 6 of these factors. So which tile ends up getting the infestation? Which area ends up winning? RimWorld's code calculates infestation weight based on the following factors. The nearest unroofed tile. In fact, the distance to the nearest unroofed tile is the biggest factor in determining weight. So you start with the distance to the nearest unroofed tile, and then you reduce the infestation weight by all of the remaining following factors. So that one is the most important. You can add additional roofs around your bait room to make it more likely to work. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but it's definitely something you can do. After the distance to unroofed tile, then the weight is reduced by how dark it is, or how light it is, I should say. Darkness is good. If it is somewhat lit, this will reduce the weight. Being closer to walls is not a good thing for a bait room, but if it's over 7 tiles or more away, it doesn't matter anymore. So all you have to do is make sure that it's a big enough room, and then it'll be fine. The temperature, if the temperature is approaching negative 17°C, this will reduce the weight of the infestation chance. So everything, your bait room just needs to be above negative 7°C to not be reduced at all by temperature. And lastly, again, the mountainous score. The mountainous score, again, most likely representative of how much rough stone, how mountainy it is. So the more mountainy, more better. When you use these factors, it actually does help you determine a location for your bait room. In this colony, I've created a bait room example. As you can see by zigzagging, I have a lot of natural stone surfaces. It is obviously deep mountain tile, but notably, it is the furthest from unroofed of my whole mountain base. So if I continue expanding my mountain base, I might have to put this deeper into the mountain. It's also the only area that doesn't have light of all this steep mountain roof. Temperature-wise, it is warm enough. My whole mountain base is warm enough, including my freezer. My freezer being only negative 4°C would still be a perfectly fine place for an infestation to spawn. So in this case, the distance to the unroofed is primary factor. And like I said before, it is the main factor. If we find an area that's unroofed, we may need to roof it in to make this a better bait room. Remember the discussion, it needs to be at least an area too wide. So an infestation would not be able to spawn in this dark single spot, even though it's dark, because it is not too wide. It can, however, spawn in that hallway. So let's use dev mode go to settings and draw infestation chance. Of course, this hole does not have any infestation chance, but we can see some at the end of the hallway, presumably because that is the farthest from an unroofed tile. But the bait room is the most likely location with very deep blue. The distance to the unroofed, as you can see, is pretty substantial here. It's a lot shorter in the other areas with deep mountain tile. I'm going to put some lamps in to remove the darkness and reduce the chances that it would spawn anywhere else other than in our bait room. Now, testing with infestation is spawning down here, just where we would expect it to be. And because I've set up this bait room with a 3x3 choke point, I can bring my 3 melee people to the front. And we're going to want to make sure to open these doors. We might have to bait the infestation into our choke point a little bit, but that shouldn't be too hard to do. One of our people is a little far away, but luckily it's not one of the melee people. All right, so who's going to go down there and shoot at them? Who wants to do it? All right, Sparrow, run. Run. Now, this built-in choke point is going to help us keep them at bay while also dealing with a couple of them at a time instead of all of them at once. With the bugs, they are able to group up in the choke point entrance, but we were able to take them no problem. We do have to go down there and clear the hives as well, or else they'll keep spawning. So unless you're trying to do an insect meat farm or something like that, you should probably take out the hives. And of course, you can use this to make some good kibble for your animals. Yeah, kibble. Or if you want to be that person, you can feed it to your prisoners. If you want to be that person. So once we build the rest of these lights, it would be even more assured that that bait room would be the location for an infestation. But as you can see, this infestation did spawn there accordingly because of the increased chance. Now, I do have these choke points built throughout my base, areas that I can stand and defend against bugs, because even though we're taking measures to create a bait room, ensure that infestation happens somewhere that we chose, there's still a chance. There is still a chance of an infestation in some of these other areas. So it is a good move to be prepared to defend in different parts of your base. Sparrow's picking up some insect jelly to put into, or to feed to someone. Insect jelly is interesting. It can be really good to have. It has a really high market value, which is my favorite thing about it. It also gives recreation if it's eaten, and it has a chance of food poisoning. So I usually don't really want my people to eat it, but in a pinch, it can be some nice recreation. Now we're going to watch Mortal Smurf do a defense against a massive infestation on the map. As we all know, Smurf is a legend when it comes to RimWorlding and has a very established colony here, very large colony. He's looking through his colonists to find the person that's going to be the best, the fastest person, a good shooter, someone with a high shooting skill, but also someone that would be perfect for baiting and kiting the insects. Once he's figured out which person, he's going to have them take some go juice to increase their speed. So they're all immediately going after Goat Sativa as the only person of interest on the map. He needs to shoot at them once in a while to keep them interested. Some of them will start moving away. Some of them are running in a different direction, kind of fleeing from being shot at. but he keeps moving them towards the left side of the base, pulling the majority of the bugs away, waiting for them to move away before bringing anyone else out. He's shooting a little bit into the group so that way the group stays interested. And he's being careful trying not to get caught by the one in the front. And he sees that there's still some around the hives, so he continues baiting and kiting. And right about now, the last of the bugs are turning the corner, and he's bringing them down the left side of the base, almost halfway around the base at this point. Now he brings out the group, continuing to shoot at them, continuing to keep them spicy. Now he's going to work on taking out the hives. A lot of the bugs can't even see the big group because they're too far away. And this massive infestation is being taken out. Mad boomalopes. The timing of that's not great. Okay, some new bugs. There's a few, but this is a pretty big group. All right, now they should be able to finish taking out the hives, and Code Sativa is still baiting all the boobalopes and all the bugs. And now we're going to see the boom rat defense system come into play. Most of the hives are gone, almost. Code Sativa's caught up to the rest of the group. And the bugs are attacking boom rats. But as you can see, some skillful baiting and kiting can help you clear a hive that's on your map. If you don't have a bait room, there are ways to deal with it. I'm going to show you another way, something that I do to deal with an insect hive that's on the map. In this case, we're back to the tribal test colony that I showed at the beginning. They were taking out one of the hives that's on the caves on the map. We have another hive down here on the map. Now, this hive is a little bit bigger, especially for my 5 tribals to take on very early on in this run. I want to deal with it because I don't want anyone to have a mental break and walk into that hive for jelly. So we could try just baiting and shooting at them. We don't have very good guns. And there's a lot of bugs here. It's not going well for me trying to fight them out in the open without some enhanced speed or better weapons, etc. So instead of doing this, what I would do, because we're so early on in this tribal run, is I'd block off a couple of the other exits and I would create a choke point, either at the door to the cave or a little building like this for my people to stand in. Now we're going to entice the same bugs, the same exact set of bugs, towards the choke point, towards the room that we have here. And we're going to fight them in this room instead. Now, a couple of them did wander off, but the majority of them are here, including this mega spider. And as you can see, my tribals are handling it a lot better because they're able to team up as a melee group. Now, the person in the front here is actually a really bad fighter, so I just happen to have not a good person for fighting. One less fighter, essentially, in the colony. But in a pinch, there's still a person, so they can help me fill out the 3 melee people for a choke point. Now, we're going to go and we're just going to take care of the other ones. Since Bear is in rough shape, I'm going to have someone tend to them. Let's just stand here by our folks getting tended, and we'll take out the last couple bugs. So what had basically killed the colony in another scenario has left us with just a couple of scratches in this scenario because I built a shack out of wood. I'm just saying, a little tiny shack, a couple walls, we can deconstruct it and get half of our resources back or so. Obviously, Bear's in a little bit of rough shape, but they're not a very good fighter, and they don't have any outerwear, which definitely can help protect them. So it's just the early stage of the game. Now I have built a bait room for my tribals. As you can see, the bait room I've made has a very good infestation weight when I draw it with dev mode. There's colony building within 30 tiles. There's a room over here with a table. I made sure that there are no colony buildings near to any of the caves. So if we were to claim a building from this structure, it now changes the infestation chance and makes it so that this cave is now a good location. If we then use God mode, delete it, gone, now it's not a good location again. So it is absolutely, you can see it when you use this part of dev mode. You can actually see whether or not your bait room is the most likely scenario, most likely location. Now, these are tribals, but I'm going to show you what it's like to build a burn room. A burn room is a really easy defense against bugs, but you don't get any of the loot. So you won't get to keep the insect jelly. You won't get to keep the bug meat, insect meat. If you don't care for that, if you're trying to keep wealth low, you can build a burn room. I'm just going to test a couple of loads to see if the infestation spawns there every time. The first one definitely spawned there. Next one, spawned there again. Let's see if it does it a third time. I think when you have that deep blue in only one location on the map, you have a pretty good chance of it not spawning anywhere else. Yeah. It seems like a really solid bait room now. And again, the distance to unroofed, especially combined with a less than 30 tiles to a colony building, has made this the only location that really makes sense. We've ensured our tribals know where and how they're going to have to deal with bugs going forward. They have this little room they can stand in to defend. We do have some deep mountain areas that are close to our colony, but this, with how much natural stone there is just the most likely location. So remember, more mountainy, more better. Those zigzags into the stone make a big difference, especially when combined with the colony building. When I had that structure down here, it made this area very high chance of infestation. As soon as I got rid of those walls, it moved back to just our bait room. So that's how you make a perfect bait room, a bait room that you can rely on almost every single time. And since I promised, I'm going to go ahead and show our burn room now. I have incendiary IED traps and wood piles. You can use benches. You could do all sorts of things. A lot of people like to do stools because it's cheaper than having 75 per. Once the infestation spawns, the bugs run around and activate the incendiaries. Now, the important thing to note is this is not a safe room to enter. This is a very, very, very hot space, and everything will be destroyed in it every time. So it is resource intensive. Our people are having a party. Our people are having a party while the bugs are being taken care of. How amazing is that? So If you want your people partying instead of fighting an infestation, you could build a burn room like this. You probably want to put some stone walls like I have here so they can't get out, because they will try to dig their way out. And as long as you do that, they should be stuck in there. Whichever way you choose to do it, if you use this, make sure to wait till the temperature drops back down before you deconstruct that outer wall and let them go in and rebuild the stools and stuff. It's a pretty toasty room in there. These tribals are now ready to make a life here. They have a plan of action for dealing with bugs, and they don't have to be terrified or scared. They also might have a nice influx of wealth that they can use for trading if they occasionally fight some hives. Again, the burn room is not going to give you that. Did you know that you can actually tame spiders? Spellipedes and mega spiders haul, and if you can tame a pet spooter into your colony, it's pretty cool. Just make sure you set your people to ignore, because they will be attacked the entire time while taming. Check this out.
What?
This is a clip from 2022.
Tiny tamed the spooter by just tending to it. See? Nelly. I've never seen that ever. So I have seen when you have a tamed animal already, I've seen you form a bond by tending that tamed animal, but I've never seen it tamed with the bond. That is incredible. That makes me so happy.
Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope you learned something from this. I know I definitely did from this project, and I'm so excited to share some very useful information in RimWorld with all of you. Again, don't forget to check out my friend, Mortal Smurf, who was absolutely essential in getting this video together. Very, very helpful in all the information he provided. So thank you again, Smurf. Everyone, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to my channel for more content in RimWorld and other colony management games, as well as gaming in general. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.